Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Filament Health, the future of psychedelics. Joining us, CEO Ben Lightburn. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. So for newer investors, obviously, do you mind just giving us a scope of what you guys are doing within the psychedelic sector and how you're playing within this space?
Yeah, sure. So Filament Health is focused exclusively on naturally extracted psychedelic compounds. We believe that there are many compounds that are known in nature that have vast untapped potential, but all that's missing is a bit of technology necessary for getting them from nature into a standardized pharmaceutical form. And that's what we do. We identify different compounds from nature, for instance, psilocybin from the magic mushroom, but we develop the suite of technologies necessary for transforming these variable raw material biomasses into pharmaceutical grade clinical trial compounds.
Okay, so you guys are kind of working on the process behind the mechanics of actually getting the compounds into kind of like a medical front, not actually like producing them through like an FDA process of making the drug. Or are you guys doing that as well?
We are doing that as well. So as it turns out, because of prohibition and because botanical extraction is a relatively poorly known field, especially amongst the pharmaceutical industry in North America, it turns out that a lot of what's published about how to make a magic mushroom extract, for instance, is actually wrong. A lot of what's published about how to grow magic mushrooms is actually wrong. So that presented us with a big opportunity to actually develop growing conditions, develop extraction technologies, purification technologies for the first time. And in the case of the extraction technology, purification technologies, actually file patents on them because they'd never before been described in any public literature. And we were actually successful in getting our first ever extraction and standardization patent in August for the extraction and standardization of natural psilocybin from the magic mushroom.
Nice. So from the extraction side, moving to like the medical front side, what kind of pipeline are you guys experimenting with right now? Is it more focused like depression, anxiety, or are you guys trying to like broad scope it into PTSD and some of these other factors, maybe with addiction? Do you mind just kind of going through that little pipeline process where you're at?
So we have 3 clinical trial candidates right now. One is a standardized 25 milligram oral dose of natural psilocybin. And we have 2 more clinical trial candidates that are compounds from the magic mushroom that is not psilocybin, that we think actually will have therapeutic benefits compared to psilocybin. We're going to be sharing details on the nature of that compound as soon as the clinical trial that's administering that compound for the first time in humans is approved. And that's going to be run at University of California, San Francisco in an FDA authorized trial. That trial will also be the first trial to employ natural psychedelic substances as opposed to synthetic. Our phase 1 trial will be in healthy volunteers because we are administering natural compounds for the first time, and also one of the compounds has never before been administered in a human clinical trial. But we're very quickly in parallel moving to a phase 2 trial, and the indication will be depression. We thought it best to start with an indication that is, I guess, more well understood, that has had a lot of synthetic work done on it. And that's because our first goal is to prove the safety and efficacy of the natural option. But very quickly after that, we plan to branch out into all kinds of different indications and with different products. So we're working on a product based on ayahuasca, and we're looking at potentially PTSD or maybe alcohol use disorder as the indication for that trial. As you alluded to, there are many indications that have yet to be studied with these psychedelics, and we're very keen to explore as many of them as possible where the economics and the market fit.
Exciting times. I got to ask you, because this is such a mission-driven industry, what got you down this path into trying to help further the cause of mental health and get into the psychedelic sector?
What got me into this is probably my background. So I've been making botanical extraction companies for most of my career, in fact. And I was really surprised by the psychedelics industry and really the lack of naturally focused companies. You would not see very many companies out there with the right skills and expertise, or even the plan or the intent to pursue naturally extracted psychedelics. And That seemed very mysterious to me because all of these compounds are natural compounds. They all come from nature. They were all discovered in nature. And we believe very strongly that something is lost when you synthesize the product, because when you synthesize a product, you only make one single compound. In the case of magic mushroom, you only make psilocybin. But when you produce a natural extract of magic mushrooms, you make much more than just psilocybin. And it's very possible that these other compounds that are extracted along with psilocybin can have some kind of therapeutic benefit. In addition, we know that people, consumers in their daily lives, prefer natural products, right? I'm sure you didn't take a synthetic caffeine pill this morning. I'm sure you probably had a cup of coffee. I'm sure you probably prefer natural sweeteners to artificial sweeteners. We think the same thing will apply in psychedelics. People will prefer natural product because they're more comfortable. And if there is no natural option, then adoption of these substances might be less. And if millions of people can stand to benefit from these compounds, we want adoption to be as high as possible. Therefore, we think it's very, very important that there is a responsible pharmaceutical grade natural option available for people.
No, I think that's some incredible insight. What can investors look forward to from you, Ben, coming into this last quarter of the year? What's exciting for you right now as we head into this final quarter?
We're very proud of all the progress we've made in the last few months. The summertime was very busy. We went public. We got our first patent issued. We amended our Health Canada license to include all natural controlled psychedelic substances. We filed many more patent applications, including a few international patent applications. But in the fall, heading into the end of the year, what excites me most is that we will very likely get approval for the very first psychedelics trial using naturally sourced substances. As I mentioned, this is very exciting. In addition, it will be the first trial to employ the use of a compound from the magic mushroom that we think will have a faster onset time, lower side effects, and a more consistent and stable dose. In essence, a compound that we think is better than psilocybin in a human clinical trial for the first time. We're working very closely with the University of California, San Francisco, with their psychedelics research group, and the team down there, as well as our team. We're very excited to get underway with this trial, which I think will put us immediately in the upper echelon of psychedelics companies, those with an actual FDA IND approved.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, maybe in the next one here, we'll look forward to maybe deeper diving down into the team that you have and talk about some of the financing behind getting through these trials. But in light of this, Ben, I really appreciate your time. So stay cool, stay awesome, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.